Foundations of Classical Mythology, a guide to gods, heroes, and the beginning of all things. Welcome to the world of classical mythology. Though these stories are thousands of years old, they are not just bedtime stories for children. They are the building blocks of Western literature, art, and even our modern language. Whether you are looking at the names of the planets, the months of the year, or the latest blockbuster movie, you are likely seeing the influence of the ancient Greeks and Romans. To understand this world, we have to look at it through three lenses: how everything began, creation, who is in charge, the Pantheon, and the mortals who achieved the impossible, the heroic epics. Part 1. The beginning of all things. Every mythology must start by answering the same question: where did we come from? For the ancient Greeks and Romans, the world did not start with a void of nothingness, but rather with something called chaos. From chaos to order, the Roman poet Ovid described chaos as a confused and shapeless mass, a giant mess where land, sea, and air were all mixed together. Nothing had a permanent shape. Cold fought with heat, and hard matter fought with soft matter. Eventually, a higher power god or nature stepped in to bring order to this mess. First came Gaia, Mother Earth, who served as the solid foundation for everything else. Next came the deep darkness of the underworld, known as Tartarus, and the force that makes life possible, Eros, love. In this early world, the first beings were often just the personifications of nature itself. For example, Gaia gave birth to Uranus, the sky, who was just as big as she was, so that he could cover her entirely. The rise and fall of the Titans, earth and sky, had many children, including the Titans, a race of giants. The leader of the Titans was Cronus, known to the Romans as Saturn. Cronus was a fearful ruler. He had been warned that one of his children would overthrow him, so he decided to swallow his children as soon as they were born. However, his wife Rhea managed to save their youngest son, Zeus, by tricking Cronus into swallowing a large stone wrapped in baby clothes instead. When Zeus grew up, he forced his father to vomit up his brothers and sisters. This led to a massive 10-year war between the new generation of gods, the Olympians, and the old generation, the Titans. With the help of thunderbolts and powerful allies, Zeus and his siblings won the war, imprisoned the Titans in Tartarus, and established their headquarters on Mount Olympus. The creation of mankind and the gift of fire. Once the gods were in charge, they needed inhabitants for the earth. The Titan Prometheus is often credited with making the first men out of clay and water, shaping them in the image of the gods. He gave humans an upright stature so they could look up at the stars rather than down at the ground like animals. Prometheus was the great champion of humanity. When Zeus withheld the power of fire from humans, Prometheus stole a glowing ember from heaven and brought it down to earth in a hollow stalk of fennel. This gift changed everything. It allowed humans to make weapons, farm the land, and build civilizations. The first woman and the box of sorrow, Zeus, was furious about the theft of fire. To punish mankind, he ordered the creation of the first woman, Pandora. Every god gave her a gift. Some gave her beauty, others gave her music. But some gave her more dangerous traits, like curiosity and seduction. Pandora was sent to Earth with a mysterious jar, often called a box. Although she was told not to open it, her curiosity got the better of her. When she lifted the lid, all the miseries of the world's sickness, envy, and pain flew out to plague humanity forever. The only thing that remained at the bottom of the container was hope, which is why humans can still endure even the worst tragedies. Part 2. The Pantheon of the Gods. The Pantheon refers to the group of 12 major gods and goddesses who lived on Mount Olympus. These deities were immortal and incredibly powerful, but they were not perfect. They often displayed very human emotions, like jealousy, anger, and love. The big three after defeating the Titans. The three most powerful brothers divided the universe among themselves. Zeus, the king of the gods. He ruled the heavens and was the god of justice and thunder. Poseidon, the ruler of the ocean. He carried a three-pronged spear called a trident, which he used to create earthquakes and storms. Hades, Pluto, the lord of the underworld. While his brothers enjoyed the sky and sea, he stayed in the dark realms of the dead, the other great Olympians. The rest of the Olympian family had specific domains or jobs: Hera, Juno, the queen of the gods, and the goddess of marriage. She was often jealous of her husband Zeus's many affairs. Athena, Minerva, the goddess of wisdom and strategic war. She was born fully grown and armored directly from Zeus's head. Apollo, the god of the sun, music, poetry, and medicine. He was a master of the lyre and the bow. Artemis, Apollo's twin sister. She was the goddess of the moon and the hunt, and she fiercely protected her independence. Ares, the god of war. Unlike Athena, who stood for wisdom, Ares represented the bloodlust and violence of battle. Aphrodite, Venus, the goddess of love and beauty. She was said to have been born from the foam of the sea. Hermes, the messenger of the gods. He wore winged shoes and a winged hat, and he was the patron of travelers and even thieves. Hephaestus, the master blacksmith. Though he was the only lame god, he built the magnificent palaces and weapons of Olympus. The goddess of the harvest and agriculture. Dionysus, Bacchus, the youngest Olympian, the god of wine and revelry. The Romans later adopted these Greek gods, but changed their names and focused more on how the gods could practically help them in their daily lives. Part 3. The heroic epics. A hero in mythology is not just a good person. A hero is usually a human or half-god who performs extraordinary deeds that no ordinary person could do. Their stories are known as epics because they involve long journeys and grand battles. Hercules, the greatest of all Hercules, was the son of Zeus and a mortal woman, which made him the target of the goddess Hera's eternal hatred. She eventually drove him into a fit of madness, and to atone for the crimes he committed while insane, he was forced to perform the 12 labors. These were impossible tasks, such as killing the 9-headed Hydra, cleaning the massive Augean stables in one day, and even traveling to the underworld to kidnap the 3-headed dog, Cerberus. Hercules is the symbol of physical strength and human endurance. Perseus, the monster slayer. Perseus is considered a model hero because his adventures were often motivated by the need to save those he loved. To protect his mother from a wicked king, he set out to kill Medusa, a gorgon with snakes for hair whose gaze could turn men to stone. With the help of winged sandals from Hermes and a reflective shield from Athena, Perseus decapitated the monster. On his way home, he also rescued the Princess Andromeda from a giant sea monster, Theseus and the Minotaur. Theseus was the great hero of Athens. His most famous deed was volunteering to go to the island of Crete to stop a terrible tradition, the sacrifice of 14 young Athenians to the Minotaur, a monster with the head of a bull and the body of a man. The Minotaur lived in the labyrinth, a maze so complicated that no one could find their way out. With the help of a ball of thread given to him by the princess Ariadne, Theseus navigated the maze, killed the beast, and followed the thread back to safety. Jason and the Argonauts. Jason's story is a classic quest for a treasure called the Golden Fleece. He assembled a team of the greatest Greek heroes, the Argonauts, and sailed on a ship called the Argo. Their journey took them through the clashing rocks and across dangerous seas. With the help of a powerful sorceress named Medea, Jason eventually put the dragon guarding the fleece to sleep and claimed his prize, the Trojan War. Finally, we have the greatest conflict in all of mythology, the Trojan War. It began when a Trojan prince named Paris abducted Helen, the most beautiful woman in the world, from her Greek husband. The Greeks launched 1,000 ships to get her back, leading to a 10-year siege of the city of Troy. This war featured legendary warriors like Achilles, who was nearly invincible except for his heel, and Hector, the greatest Trojan champion. Troy only fell after the Greeks used a clever trick suggested by Odysseus. They built a massive wooden horse, hid soldiers inside, and left it as a gift. The Trojans brought the horse inside their walls, and that night, the Greeks crept out and opened the city gates. The story concludes with the Odyssey, the 10-year journey of Odysseus as he faced monsters like the one-eyed Cyclops while trying to return home to his wife. Penelope. Conclusion. These myths are more than just old stories. They were the ancients' way of explaining the tilt of the earth, the origin of fire, and the complexities of human nature. By studying the creation, the Pantheon, and the heroic epics, you are not just learning about the past. You are gaining the keys to understand much of the art, literature, and culture that surrounds you today.